This is one of the most important lessons when it comes to negotiation is I want you to figure out what levers or what dimensions of the offer you can adjust to optimize it to best fit your needs. So let me remind you, this is a slide from earlier in the course. There are four important parts of total compensation: salary, signing bonus, equity, and annual bonus. The annual bonus is hard to negotiate on because it's usually dependent on individual and company performance. And so most companies are not going to give you a higher bonus just because you ask for it at the time of signing. There's no data on how you're performing at the company yet. And so really the playground that we have are the first three components. And so what I want you to do is once you have the offer, a lot of people will jump immediately to, oh, I want more salary and I want less equity, or I want more of this and that, right? The better way of phrasing it is understand what are the needs and the flexibility of the other side, of the recruiter or the company. So ask an open-ended question. Have the courage to ask an open-ended question. Which parts of the offer are you most able to adjust? What happens behind the scenes is that the recruiter will have some guidance from company leadership on here are the allowable bands of what we can offer for a mid-level engineer in the Bay Area for salary, for equity, and for bonus. They're not going to reveal that to you. It's very hard to get the concrete information about what those numbers are. But what you can do is directionally understand, are they more flexible on salary or equity or bonus? That is your goal with this question. Once you have that, then you can start to interleave what you care about. So if you really care about a lot of equity, you want to take a bet on the company doubling or tripling in value, then once you know this, you can tell them, like, okay, that's great to know. I really want to be on the highest possible band on equity. I care about that. I don't care as much about salary. You want to help the recruiter help you. I want to go through two compensation packages, one which is not so good because there are not too many interesting discussions you can have on it. Then I want to talk about one which is good, and then I'll revisit the one which is not good and talk about how you might be able to improve it. So here's the one which is not so good. You are given an offer, and there's literally only one lever as such, one dimension of it, which is $100,000 a year salary. So you have a single lever. It's not that interesting. And the reason is because you have some band of the salary range. And then obviously for me as a candidate, I want to have more salary. I want to go to $150,000 a year. But for the recruiter, they want me to stay there or even go down. So there's not very much common ground. There's no shared purpose. So it's very hard to come to an agreeable conclusion here if both parties want something very different. Now let's contrast that with if you get a compensation package where you get $100,000 a year salary, $40,000 a year in equity, and $20,000 in a signing bonus. Now you have multiple levers, which allows you to find, hopefully, a mutually beneficial solution for both the company and for you. You've turned a one-dimensional problem into a multi-dimensional problem. So it's not just I want more money. You're adding some nuance into it and say, hey, I'm actually willing to keep the salary at the same level, or maybe even go down a little bit, but I want to dramatically increase how much equity and bonus I'm getting. You're talking about things as a way to show flexibility in order to get what you really want. So then the recruiter can say, okay, hey, based off of what I'm able to make happen for you, the allowable bands for your level, for your geography, I can put you lower on the salary, but make sure that you're on the higher end for equity and bonus. So that could be a really good solution where you feel like you got something out of it. And also the company is able to make changes according to what you need. So let's go back to that world where we only have a package with $100,000 a year salary. And so the job for you, and it's not that easy, but it's also not that hard, but I want you to manufacture more levers. I want you to manufacture other dimensions, other parameters on which you can negotiate. For example, remote work. So if you have only like one compensation number, $100,000 a year, you might be able to say, I think remote work is also super important to me, especially after the pandemic. I think that I really value being able to work from home 3 days a week. And that might not be the company policy or, whatever direction you want to go in. So make that another point and say, hey, I really am willing to forego that. I'm happy to come into the office as much as you need me to. But in that world, I need to see some movement on the salary to, make the offer more compelling. So all of a sudden you have shown the recruiter that you're willing to meet them halfway on something which was not even part of the negotiation before. So the same thing you can apply with what title are you going to have? Are you going to be a director or a manager or an engineer or a principal engineer, whatever it might be? Figure out how you can use that as a talking point to get more of what you really want. Number of vacation days. And then also a very powerful one here is about pending offers. So if you are working at a company and you have one offer, then what you can tell that company is that the company that gave you an offer, that, hey, I have 2 other companies I'm interviewing with. I am happy to forego those if you're able to meet me at this particular number. So effectively what you're doing is you're inventing yet another negotiation point, which is timing and certainty. You're saying, hey, I will commit if you just meet me at this number. Or if you have another offer, you should be able to use that as leverage to say, I want more of this because this other company is offering me X amount. The one thing to be careful of here is that if you have another offer and you use that as leverage, you should be prepared to show some proof or some indication of that. Otherwise, you might actually end up in a worse position where the company feels like you are taking advantage of them.